I mean, like the person I had on my show said, again, that we have a space program that I couldn't comprehend because they were that far advanced. But the American public and the rest of the world think that our jets are flying around and, and what we're using for bombers is like the most sophisticated, military craft. And, that our spacecraft was just basically to make us feel good, but they don't want the American public to know what's actually going on.
There was, I want to say, 2012, 2013, talking about spacecraft. I don't know if you remember, but there was that cave in Afghanistan that Obama went to. Three military men died clearing that whole opening out for, I guess, for people to come in. I'm not real sure why they died. That no one explains how they died or why they died. But Obama went to go see this cave in Afghanistan. Tony Blair, Angela Merkel, Sarkozy at the time of France, and whoever is running India, all of them. They all met up in this cave in Afghanistan at one point or another. And of course, people were saying that they found a Vimana, like from the sacred Indian text, and it was still charged. It still had power on it. That would really explain why we're in Afghanistan, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that kind of just wrap it all up? Like, why are we always looking for a way to get our troops in Afghanistan? Well, there you go.
Yeah,
it's loaded with those ancient Vimanas that they wrote about back in the days of old.
Well, it makes you really something to think about. I mean, when you think about all these world leaders, coming to, like you mentioned, this, there had to be something there. I mean, they're not going to come there just to go see a cave. It had to be something more even than that, I think, to make them all come in and see what's going on. I think, I don't know. I don't want to get out there too much because I don't want my audience to think I'm a crackpot. But I have my own beliefs of certain things, and my belief is that I think technology is so much more superior than what we know of, and I think they're just brainwashing the American public and the world public, not just our country but everywhere. I mean, and I think they want to keep us under control.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, and I think our history books are completely wrong. They all like to start where, our civilization was about 3,000 years old and all of that. I think we're much older than that, and I wouldn't even be surprised if there's evidence of alien life, like we were talking about before. Well, Plato wrote about Atlantis, and Plato wasn't known for his fiction. He was known for his philosophy. So a lot of people dismiss that whole story like it was just Plato writing a narrative. Well, that might make sense if that's what Plato was, if he was basically a novelist back in ancient Greece. But he wasn't. Why did he write that story? And then he was so specific. It was located by this strait and that strait, and I think Atlantis really did exist, and I really do think that Atlanteans were running it, and Hitler knew that, and somehow he connected that with the Aryan race, and somehow he figured out a way to communicate with them, and that's how him and his buddies in this Brill Society, and then before the Brill Society, they had some other stuff. I don't know if you've heard of Madame Blavatsky and all of that, and I honestly think that they had help with these extraterrestrials in, a little help trying to take over the world.
Uh-huh.
And I honestly think that now we've got that help, that same edge that they had.
Well, you ever think about it this way? Maybe they were helping Hitler, to go to introduce it, to the human race, knowing what caliber person Hitler was, to let Hitler carry his thing out as far as he carried it, letting him, knowing what was going to happen. So then the next, like us and Russia and all that stuff afterwards, we became, the next guinea pig, I guess, one way to say it.
He was the front lineman who tested the product.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. I wouldn't be a bit surprised. He tries it out, and then America refines how to use it and refines how to make it, and here we are.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what's the next step would be after that. I don't know. It just... you go like Atlantis and all that stuff. I honestly feel that the Earth is way older than what they say because we don't really know. And I think that we probably had life start over several times. I mean, again, if you think that we're the only, humans that walked the Earth, maybe there was Martians walking the Earth before us. I mean, another civilization. And, they got destroyed, or the bulk of them got destroyed, and, everything, just like a reboot of a computer, you just reformat it and start over again.
Yeah, like that, some of those Egyptian pyramids and the Sphinx and all that, they're starting to think that maybe they're 11,000 years old and not 3,000 years old. I guess they found water damage on that Sphinx. I mean, it's in the middle of a desert. How could there be water damage? And then, they think there was a flood around 11,000 BC. So that would explain the water damage, which would, of course, mean that the Sphinx was built before 11,000 BC. If it had water,
Yeah.
So...
But then they didn't have the technology to build it. So, I mean, that you really got to think about it. How did the pyramids, how did all this stuff get built? I mean, we can't duplicate it. We can't even duplicate cement that lasts, more than about 100 or 200 years, and it breaks down. I mean, they created, like, cements that have lasted how long and developed and built structures that are still standing when our structures won't be standing after a couple hundred years, or even less time than that. It just tells me that technology, I think reached a certain level, and then all of a sudden it recycled back to like the Planet of the Apes, when where he all of a sudden saw the Statue of Liberty, sticking out of the sand by the ocean, and he realized that mankind, destroyed itself. Well, maybe the human race or whatever race before us destroyed themselves, and we're second generation. I don't know. Maybe the government knows too, and they're not going to come out and tell us. And maybe some of the UFOs that people were seeing are UFOs.
Right. Well, like Einstein and Oppenheimer, and some of those other German Jews who helped make the bomb were quoted as saying that they certainly weren't the first to make a nuclear weapon. That, in fact, they were using them in ancient India, again with these Indian ancient writings, which I would love to do a lot of research on that, because there's just a lot of stuff that really lines up with alien conspiracy theory, and they truly believed that, again, civilizations were a lot older than what we're taught, and they had modern technology, more modern than we have today, like you're saying. So this idea has been around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish that we would, instead of just ignoring it, we would incorporate it more in our education and our funding for
but
research.
I think it would, you know what? I think it would destroy religion really fast if they came out and said, hey, look, we're the second generation of humans, or maybe the third generation of humans. And maybe we were, created, from aliens, or a byproduct of aliens, or what have you. Then you would have all these people, that are really into religion. I think it would really, I don't think a lot of people would be able to accept it.
Well, I'm a Christian, so I'm open to the idea. I think God's behind all of it. If you believe in aliens, that's fine, but you're still not explaining everything, because where do the aliens come from?
Oh yeah, what happens if the alien is our God? I mentioned that to a minister one day,
right.
And he just turned bright red, and he had absolutely no answer. He said, I don't know.
Well, what is God? God is technically an extraterrestrial. He's not from here.
That's right.
He created this place. He's not from it.
Yeah. That's absolutely very well put, actually.
So, a lot of people, the Bible is full of stories with angels. Well, they didn't have, a vocabulary as thick as the dictionary like we have now. They wrote down what they saw, and what they say was an angel, we might call an alien, and it's the same beings that are visiting.
Yeah, you look in some of these caves, the drawings that were left, spaceships or
mm-hmm.
A man in a weird diving type of suit, or a space suit or whatever.
Yeah.
How would somebody back in that time frame even comprehend any of that? They wouldn't be able
mm-hmm.
to. It's impossible. So that tells me that something was going on, and people were recording it. And it got lost.
Right.
It got lost through the centuries.
Right. That library in Alexandria was supposed to have just, basically his history of the world. Well, isn't that odd how that was destroyed?
Oh, yeah.
There goes everything.
Oh, wow. Boy, this has gotten, you know what, you came on, right, expecting to talk about your book. So I feel really bad. We need to get back onto you, your books, what got you into writing, let's get into that. How long does it take you to write one of your novels? And,
Well, for a brief time in my life, I got laid off, and it was okay. I was blessed enough not to have overextended myself in bills. I was blessed enough to have a husband that had a good job, so my layoff wasn't as bad as some other people who just lost everything. They lost their house and all that. Mine happened in 2010, and as I told you, I'm a teacher, and I think most English teachers dream of becoming authors. So I thought, well, I'm going to take my unemployment check, and I'm going to see if I can do this. I've spent my career criticizing and analyzing everybody else's work. I'll give it a go. So I wrote my first book in maybe 8 months, called The Last Degree.
Now,
and
what was that about?
It's about Freemasons and their role in New World Order. Again, that's a big one with me. And how, we've gotten a elite group of people who are secretly running everything.
Uh-huh.
And